Welcome to Soul-Led Creative Women, the podcast for heart-centered creative women who are ready to reclaim their spark and live with deeper meaning, authenticity, and soul. Welcome back to part 2 of my powerful conversation with the beautiful Morgan Boszilkov. Whether you're jumping in here or have just listened to part 1, it doesn't matter because both episodes are filled with so much soulful gold. In this episode, we go deeper into the themes of spiritual and creative integrity, learning how to rebuild trust with yourself through everyday choices, and the role of intuitive creative practices in cultivating emotional resilience, healing, and transformation. Morgan shares the sacred connection between creativity, plant medicine, and inner safety, plus how to navigate judgment and triggers with compassion, all through the lens of her own personal awakening journey. If you're ready to take your creative and spiritual life to the next level, this conversation will meet you right where you are. Okay, so you've mentioned the word integrity. Integrity is also one of the words that I use as well. It's actually where I tend to start with people. So for me, integrity, I like to split it between spiritual integrity and creative integrity. And then the spiritual part is about connecting to your deep truth and honoring that truth by finding meaningful ways to express it, which is where the creative integrity comes into it, because creative integrity is all about expression, right? So in terms of that word integrity, what does it mean to you and how does it contribute in your mind to our spiritual and creative journeys?
Gosh, I love this so much. Thank you. And I love that you start with integrity because quite honestly, it's the everything, right? And it's the small things because we can practice integrity in every moment. It's such a big concept that I don't even know where to start. But like I have so many things running through my head. But yeah, so what wants to come through right now is integrity with our own self first. Right? Because we can't live in integrity with the external world unless we're honest with ourselves. And a lot of that is tapping into our intuition and our bodies and the ways that we've abandoned ourselves along the way with our conditioning. Because we never, when we're acting out of integrity, it is not on purpose, right? We are all like innocently on autopilot with whatever conditioning we're still being driven by. So for myself, I would say that for 40 years, I was on survival mode, autopilot, out of integrity with myself and the world, and I had no idea. And then I just knew that I was suffering, right? I knew that things were really, really hard and really bad, and I wanted out, and I didn't know a way out. And then I had my first psychedelic journey with mushrooms because I was trying to move through PTSD from my cancer. And all of a sudden, I just woke up and things started changing. And it was like I had gotten to a crescendo of suffering in my life, being out of authenticity, gaslighting myself. I would have feelings would come up in my body that said, "You don't like this. This is not okay." And yet the conditioning was like, but if you do this, this might happen. If you do this, it might happen. And like all of these fears that I had been taught. And so instead of being honest with myself and then being able to translate that to the external world with choices and communication and empowerment, I just sat in like the ugliness of the dishonesty with myself. Whew, okay. So I think getting back into my body has been a big part of my transformational experience. So I always had a lump in my throat, right? Expression, big surprise, artist. So those 14 years that I really lost myself after having kids and doing all the things, like my throat, I always had this kind of like lump thing happening here,
Mm,
and I wasn't
mm,
expressing myself. And then I finally did, and I didn't take action. So then
mm,
I started getting this burning in my solar plexus because I had said the thing, but I wasn't actually doing anything
mm.
about the the honesty that
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
sharing with family and friends, and but I wasn't making choices to
Mm-hmm.
reflect that. And my body was like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
This is still painful. Just do the thing, you know?
Mm,
So now I have a practice of using my intuition in my daily life as often as I can possibly remember.
mm, mm.
So it started too with an intentional practice, and it made it a habit of asking myself when I got to the end of my driveway, because like my grocery store was equidistant if I took a left or a right. So, or my kids' schools, it didn't matter if I took a left or right. So I chose a really benign experience that I could just ask myself and ask the universe. I would like get to the top of my driveway and I go left or right. And I go, left. And I go, okay. And so I would just take this left, right? So it could be like putting on socks. You could
Yeah.
go left or right. Right it is. Okay. And because I am in a safe space, right?
Mm,
I'm not making a big decision that's going to affect my whole life. It's just these small practices. It could be
mm.
as an artist saying green or blue, green it is, just
Yeah,
like tapping in whether
yeah,
we have intuition in different ways. It's, all the clair cognizant,
yeah,
clair audient,
yeah,
clair
yeah,
sentient, all the
yeah.
things. So whatever, people feel might be one of the ways they feel their intuition,
Mm.
practicing it in a safe way on a daily basis, and then extrapolating that into other parts of our life because we've tapped into our body and
Yeah,
what it's telling
yeah.
us.
So then my question to you is, do you think that our creative practices, and different versions of that creative practice, I'm not talking about some kind of linear creative practice, but do you think that our creative practice is the perfect playground foundation for us to build this kind of inner trust and almost like an inner safety? I'm shifting some of my language, building safety, building
Mhm.
strength, building confidence to then express the truth, right? So, do you believe that creativity or our creative practices are kind of where that magic can really happen, and then it ripples out into the rest of your life, right? Into any area of your
Yes.
life.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you're right. It doesn't matter what the creative process is.
Mhm.
It could be writing in a journal. It could be singing in the shower,
Yeah,
right? Making up lyrics as you
yeah,
go. There's a trust. But what came to me while you were saying that was learning to do it for ourselves,
yes,
and less about performing for the outside world or who's going to
yes,
see it, what are they going to say, is
yes,
this good enough,
yes,
comparing it to other people, right? But like do it for
yes,
learning more about oneself and bringing more awareness to
yeah.
how we show up in the world. Yeah.
And personally for myself, as I really work on embodying what I teach others, so really kind of practicing what I preach and embodying it, what I've chosen to do for myself, because I believe that art making is a really powerful tool. So I do use it in my coaching work. But with the art making, I've now separated it. So I've got kind of like a self-nurturing, self-healing sort of creative practice, which is more process driven and not attached to the outcome. I mean, once you've been doing it for a while, things tend to turn out okay anyway, right? But it's not sort of outcome focused. And then my professional art practice, which is more based on kind of some grander plan for a series of paintings and has to have some kind of cohesiveness to it. So separating those two things, I think, has really helped me in terms of just getting the most out of both worlds, like the goal setting piece, but then also there's this real lean into the creative process just for the sake of it. Because we forget that, right? When we've been doing art for a while, we forget about that sometimes. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that feels very balanced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that feels like it's balancing the masculine and the feminine, right? That
Yeah.
feels like it's balancing the the external, internal, the drive
Yeah.
and the receiving.
There's crossover, definitely crossover between the two, but I think it was really important because, like I just recently recorded a podcast episode on it, but it's kind of like this real sweet spot between art mastery and art therapy. Like it's an elevated position where you're drawing on both worlds and you're cultivating your own rule book, your own kind of mini practices within the bigger picture. So anyway.
I love that. Yeah, and it reminds me of the way we do everything else in life too, right? Like
Mm,
we're constantly learning and evolving, and some of it is that more like when you said like technical and mastery and
yeah,
stuff, like there's a sense of taking in things, developing skills, development,
yeah.
goal setting, right?
Growth.
And then
Yeah.
there's the play and they feed off of each other
Yes,
in a
exactly.
beautiful way.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Awesome. So I'm going to ask you something that's a bit more coaching focused, I guess. So, what are your favorite creative and spiritual tools that you would use to help people build resilience and experience their own transformation?
Wow. Okay. I feel like judgment has been such a big part of my own transformation,
Hmm.
and it's what keeps us separated from other people as well as our own self-forgiveness and unconditional love. So, Byron Katie has great tools and worksheets that are free online.
Okay.
And yeah, well, I've kind of created my own shorthand from it of like, when have I done that? When if I'm judging someone else? But,
Yeah.
there's just a sense of noticing our judgments
Mm,
in the creative process, in our life, in the grocery store, with our family. Anytime that we're judging, it's some trigger of the conditioning that's created our ego. And and the more that we can notice it and question it and bring the loving parenting maybe that we didn't
mm,
receive
mm.
as children ourselves of just like, whew, you know, you're enough, like bringing those questioning our self-limiting beliefs
Yeah.
of not being enough, not being worthy, and then how we project that out into the world of other
Mm,
people not being enough and not being worthy. And in our creative process, how
mm,
often are we judging
hmm.
the art is not enough? And yeah, so looking at our judgments not only connects us to ourselves and our higher self more deeply, but
Hmm.
also to everyone and everything around us to the point where we realize that everything is teaching us.
Mm,
But I think it's hard when I was deeply in my survival mode, it was hard to just jump to like everything is happening for me.
mm,
But
mm.
it was a lot easier to notice my judgments because they were happening
Yeah.
so deeply and so often. So I think that's a great place to start.
Hmm.
And and if someone is really been has been really practicing spiritual work for a while and is moving through, feelings of connection and oneness and all of those things,
Yeah.
I think the slowing down becomes more accessible
Mm,
when we're meditating and we're really present in our creative processes. Because when we slow down, we start to really savor and experience life in the moment more.
mm.
But I think the ego so quickly like wraps us back up, right? Like
Yeah.
life itself is a meditation where
Yeah.
we get in the flow, we're connected to our art, to our play, to our in the moment, and then it's like whew, we get wrapped up in our thoughts
Mm,
and
mm,
the turmoil and the suffering and the pain and the blah 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 blah. And then we come back to the breath, right?
mm,
So more we're practicing making life itself the meditation,
mm.
the more connected we'll be to the present
Mm.
moment,
Mm.
and the more we'll be able to appreciate it
Mm.
because we'll be noticing on a more moment to moment basis when we've
Mm.
lost touch with our authentic self instead of being out of touch with it for 14 years.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just like, oh, I'm in it again. Ah, I'm glad I noticed. I'm going to bring myself back.
Yeah.
There it is again. So the more often we can do that,
Mm. Mm.
the
Mm.
more often we can be aligned and in tune with the beauty of life.
Yeah, so cool. I call that soul-led creative living. That's my phrase for that. So, it is one just big creative journey, really, isn't it? Ah,
Yes, because we are creation itself.
yeah. What was coming up for me actually when you were talking about slowing down was how when you really learn how to lean in, because it's very difficult when you're on this external driven sort of path and you've lost connection with your inner world. It's very difficult, but I feel like when we start to really lean into that inner world and that slowing down part of us, I think it's really anxiety reducing. It just makes everything feel a bit better. Would you agree with that?
I do. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love the way you said that.
Yeah. So, on your website, you use the phrase all is love. So, what does
Yes.
this phrase mean to you?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I became a plant medicine facilitator, a
Mm.
certified facilitator, and over again in my journeys with psilocybin, ayahuasca, and other plant medicines, I am constantly and consistently shown that everything, everything, even the hard parts, it's love.
Mm.
All is love, right? Okay, so that is something that I had no access to 5 years ago. But when, with the blessing of these medicines, I was shown life, or yeah, life, maybe spirit, existence beyond the ego, even for a split second. It's love, and people say this when they've had near-death experiences. They talk about like the unconditional love of the
Mm.
white light that they feel and that sense of oneness and wholeness.
Mm.
That is what I'm talking about.
Mm.
And there have been moments. I had this moment when I went to the West. I went out west in the US recently, and I landed in Salt Lake City and just drove straight out of the airport down into the desert. And
Mhm.
I had this ecstatic experience. And I was just overwhelmed by the beauty of Mother Nature and these
Mm.
giant mountains. And I was swept up in this,
Mm.
like, oh, this gratitude. And I was like, wow, 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 wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it was this divine, this sounds totally woo-woo and crazy,
Mm-mm.
but I mean, I would have thought this was crazy years ago, but like, there was no plant medicine. It was just me and the mountains and my
Mm.
gratitude and connection to all things. And I was like, thank you. And the message is everything is love, everything is beautiful.
Mm.
And
But it was plant medicine. It was just all around you instead of like right in front of you. Do you know what I mean? Like it was all around you. It was
yes,
medicine. Yeah.
yes, yes, because life is the ceremony.
Yeah.
Life is the ceremony, whether someone is doing breath work, meditating, in the flow when they're creating art, going for a long run and feeling the freedom of using their body in this beautiful way to the point where they've lost track of all time. Any
Mm.
sort of in the flow moment that we can
Mm. Mm.
access is tapping into the the infinite presence of divine love that we all are. And
Mm.
oh, yeah. I mean,
You
it's
just
hard to
you
put
just
into
completely
words.
you completely lit up when you started talking about this.
Yeah.
When you started talking about it, you immediately went to plant medicine. I know
It is.
that's part of your work, but I actually feel like you're really passionate about that. And what's interesting to me after browsing your beautiful paintings on your website is that actually a lot of the beautiful work is plants. So there's a
Yes.
complete alignment there between your passion for plant medicine and your art, which again is the mirror. It's the mirror of your spiritual journey and your creative journey matching each other. So I just think that's so powerful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I've realized that, the incredible beauty of life in nature is so wondrous that it is constantly reminding us of the amazing creation that's all around us and
Mm.
within us, and we forget that we are nature too, and that we call ourselves human, but we're filled of like microbiome and
Yeah.
all of these things that are not us. I put
Yeah.
that in quotes, like we
S-
are
yeah.
nature itself. And
Self-healing
so my
miracles.
artwork,
Yeah.
yes, we are self-healing we are miracles. And so yes, my artwork is channeling nature, and my spiritual work is channeling our own nature, and it's
Mm.
all connected and it's all
Mm.
one. So when I say life is the ceremony, you know, I think that plant medicine, and it's not for everyone, but for people who it is, they can experience a crash course in life.
Hmm.
But life itself is giving us the same
Yeah.
opportunities to see ourselves, notice who we are and how we're showing up in life, and the opportunities to let go of all the things that are creating separateness from
Yeah.
our inner selves and everyone around us and
Mm.
everything around us.
Mm. So powerful. So, for all the women out there who are curious about finding their inner strength and power by embracing life's natural beauty, what powerful message or question would you like to leave them with today?
Ooh, I really like that. What are the ways that Okay, I have one. All right. So I used this with a client recently, and I wouldn't say that this is like my all-time life branding question because we're always
Yeah.
evolving,
Okay.
right? So like there's a sense of like wanting to say the one big
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
that's like
yeah,
my
yeah.
quote for the rest of my life.
No.
But what I think it is like I think sometimes we wear shoes that we put on at certain points in our life, and then they don't over time they don't fit us
Yeah.
anymore, or maybe they don't fit our style anymore, or whatever it is. And I ask people, what shoes are we wearing that are causing us pain or don't fit us anymore, or they
Mm,
seemed practical or
mm,
whatever. And then it's
mm,
like, just take the shoes off, try some new shoes on. Is there anything in your life that you've been really wanting to let go of and try
mm.
something new and be creative with it,
Yeah, I love
right?
that. That's so cool. Love that. Sometimes it's the simple analogies that work the best, right? That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, how can people get to know you better, Morgan, and get a real feel for the work that you're doing?
My website, I'm glad you mentioned it before. Thank you. Yeah, my art is on there, and also people can tap into my spiritual work there.
Hmm.
It's morganbstudio.com, and my Instagram is also morganbstudio.
Hmm.
So I would love to connect with anyone with whom this resonates.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with me today. I absolutely loved our conversation, Morgan. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sam here. Thanks so much for listening to the end. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Join my free soul-led creative community and gain access to free guides and resources, plus exclusive events and workshops, all from within the members area. This is your chance to connect with me and other like-minded souls. Please head to samhorton.co/community. Take care.